So with our claims of Mr. Z, so Mom had mentioned Zeus is having some trouble in the car. So for example, he's getting carsick. So remember that for young puppies or even adults, the car itself can be a bit nervous inducing for the pups. So a lot of times car travel can, when they're little, actually cause some travel sickness or motion sickness because of their inner ear not being fully developed yet. So it could be a little bit of a double whammy where maybe he is a little bit unsure about the car, and then on top of it, then there's also his inner ears not fully developed potentially. And again, it could be many facets that add to car travel difficulty. What a lot of people don't realize is that traveling in the vehicle, we try to pair with fun adventures once we get out of the car. The trouble is the car itself is still not the fun place until you get out of the car. That is the thing that is making them anxious. So even though you might be doing your darndest to go bring your puppy fun places in the vehicle, remember the fun happens once you're out of the car. So if you're trying to build up as the car as being the fun place to be, I'd recommend to start practicing. I know we've done some place and some mat practice, working with some stays. I am not saying that you're going to start working with a stay position in your vehicle, but I want your puppy to start getting comfortable having a target blanket, and then I want you to try to bring that blanket that you've been using in the home to their crate or their car section and practice. Obviously, I know we're in the winter months right now, and at times that means it's a bit chilly when you're working outside. So I would recommend bundle up and get comfortable, but make sure that when you're practicing, you're making it fun to be in a stationary car, not a car in motion. So a lot of times we try to go right to the end result, which is traveling in the vehicle, and the puppy may not be ready for that kind of setup. So if every time your puppy goes in the vehicle, it always equals you're in there, you're starting to get more anxious, we're still traveling, and then we get sick, then it can kind of create almost like a pattern of every time we go in the vehicle, I end up getting so anxious or so overwhelmed that, again, he feels yucky and he ends up throwing up. It can create kind of a yucky cycle for the puppy where they start to think traveling always equals that type of anxiety or that outcome. So practicing with your target mat, blanket, or whatever you have that's available that your puppy does do a good job with, you can start to create nice associations with the target and then bring that exact same blanket to the car to practice stationary car practice. If your babe is also riding in the car within a crate, which again is the safest way to travel with a dog, is if you're looking for safety tips for your babes for travel's sake, do check in. But I know Mom has mentioned that he's riding in a crate within the vehicle. I would still maintain that because remember that a loose dog in a vehicle, even though it seems fun and it allows them to go to the window, those things are rather dangerous. Remember that if you're stopping even 25 to 30 miles an hour, your dog is sadly, if they're loose in the vehicle, going to become a lovely projectile, as sad as that sounds, and they can either hurt you or other people or children in the car. I've seen some moments where there's a dog loose between two little humans and they're in car seats. If that dog were to, again, during an accident, smash into one of your little ones, the dog and the small human may not make it. Remember, there's a lot of moments where if we're riding loose in a vehicle too, we can get, again, launched out of the car once it crashes. There's a lot of times when dogs, after an accident, they can become lost. They're overwhelmed, they're scared, they may be injured, and during the mass chaos that is sadly a car accident, the dog runs off. So a crate that has been crash tested, I do recommend, and then I would follow their protocols for how to potentially tether the crate and secure it within the vehicle. So just like a car seat has to be attached to the vehicle in a certain manner depending on the age of the child and the style of car seat, if the car seat were just loose in the vehicle, it's not going to help them. So remember that even though traveling in a crate is a much safer option, if you're using a seatbelt harness and a buckle attachment, that can work okay for some pups and some dogs. But remember that if the seatbelt harness is not meant to be that type of gear, your harness can then break under the pressure. So you do want to get a crash-tested harness or attachment, or again, the safest way to travel is in the crate secured within the vehicle. If you're not sure about crash-tested crates or configurations for cars, you can always check in with me. But again, there's a slew of really great resources out there and products. So I would then start to pair this mat practice in the house and then transition this mat into the crate that normally lives in the vehicle. I know it sounds like a pain in the bum to take the crate from the car to then place it in your home and practice with the crate he would travel with in the house. I highly recommend it though, because if you're now introducing a crate situation and they haven't been used to crating within the vehicle, that's another element of practice. So we would have a few items that Mr. Handsome likes to enjoy. So I recommend a licking item, chewing item, things that bring him joy and comfort. And then start to pair that with practice within the crate that he's been traveling with in the vehicle. So you would start off with your bed, then your crate with the bed inside of it or the blanket within the house, and then you bring it out to the vehicle and you practice stationary. So if we went right into, here's the crate, go into the crate, put the puppy in and just go traveling, that could be again too big of a step. So highly recommend for Mr. Z is to start off with some of those smaller increments. And then also though, for moments where you are going to be in the car and practicing, you can even, obviously, when you get to that point, there are some calming supplements or some things that could be beneficial if we're trying to help relax him in those harder situations. So I know I mentioned to Mom a little bit earlier when we were quickly chatting, is there's a product called Rescue Remedy. The original formula I find works well. It was originally designed for people, but it can also work on your pets. The original formula I find works the best. It comes like with a little eyedropper. I tend to just put a little bit on a treat or dog food and then feed it to the puppy that way. The other option, there's a brand called Composure. That's another product that was designed by veterinarians and seems to work well for anxiety. You again don't have to rock supplements, but remember that if something is a bit trying for him, trying to help him through it as best we can so it doesn't become the norm for him will be crucial. But definitely practice stationary car time as well. Nice job, sir. So you may even do this in the home. So let's say here's, I know here you don't have his travel crate, but let's pretend this is his bed with the travel crate. We could go ahead, I'm just gonna grab a little bowl real quick, is we could practice with the handsome guy targeting his crate and his bedding within it, and then just simply hang out and just feed him intermittently for vegging. So this could be like you're pretending to be in the back of your vehicle. If your crate is very hard to put items into, you may find practicing this first in the home with the crate door open over here. I'm not sure if yours is like a mesh crate that has a zipper, or if it's a wire crate or a plastic crate. So as Mr. Handsome is just enjoying a snack, we would be sitting in the vehicle stationary. We might at times put the engine on, put the car on, and then kind of just veg there for a little bit, listen to some music. But then intermittently, as he's enjoying himself with a bowl, with maybe some other snacks thrown in, you're gonna go ahead and just simply feed throughout the adventure of being parked. You may even find that if this is going really well, do a few minutes worth of practice and then give it a break. Remember, training sessions in general are better when they're short and sweet than immensely long and drawn out. We tend to have a hard time with our attention span working for long periods with something we find hard or trying. So I definitely recommend to do short and sweet for better success for him and for you. So again, this is just like a licky, I think it's a Lick Mat brand bowl. It does not have to be a licky bowl. It could be, for example, a Tupperware container, a dog food dish, a slow feed bowl. We just want to make it kind of fun to hang out in this space. Nice job, sir. So, but if, let's say, your puppy is not taking food and he's not going for his chew items, or he's not going for the Lick Mat or whatever product you have as a pacifier, then maybe we're going too fast in the steps. So remember, if your puppies are unable to offer more comfortable or feel like they know, or they're unable to take food or respond or check in, then that typically means that your puppy is well past their comfort range or their threshold. So we want to make sure that when Mr. Z is practicing, you're looking for stress signals. So if you're not as familiar with stress signals, you'd want to, for example, look for elevated panting or respiration. You would look to his body language. If he's looking like he's quivering, his tail is tucked, he's kind of almost hunched or slinky kind of looking. Remember, a comfortable dog is going to look very loose and fluid. I almost like to call them wet noodles where they're floppy and very wiggly. If you're seeing rigidness or pausing, hesitation, then that normally, again, means he's getting flustered. So right now, he's just doing some nice little check-ins, and this could turn into a little game. So like when he looks to me, I might go yes and feed in the bowl. It doesn't have to be about focus. The main goal is we're just creating fun experiences with the target mat and then the crate that normally lives inside the vehicle. So this is beautiful. Nice job, Mr. Z. Possible snack inside. So this can again branch off to many other venues, excuse me, but it's definitely going to be probably very helpful for the vehicle and the travel practice. But I would almost do this daily. If you have moments throughout the day to go and have just a little adventure in the vehicle while it's parked. I know it sounds really dorky and not like a super fun adventure, but it would be probably really helpful for Mr. Z to not view the cars every time I go in, I get sick. It's very similar to crate training or separation training where you don't want to just be like, all right, good luck, throw them in, close the door, and hope they just make it. Because what that tends to create is more anxiety about the separation and more anxiety about the environment in which they're stuck in, but might actually create negative associations with going to a target spot or being sort of confined or restricted. This is beautiful. So notice how he's kind of just relaxed and hanging out. So it might be, again, just a couple minutes. You might be playing on your phone, you might be reading a book, you might be listening to a radio show or, again, something on your phone. And you could just be, again, doing this where you're just hanging out in the car. Nice job, sir. But notice how we're looking for softness through his body. For other facial expressions, for anxiety, you'd see dilated pupils. I mentioned the respiration. You'd see ears that are sometimes pinned back or a little bit behind his skull. I almost call them like bunny ears where they pull all the way back. And then you'd also be seeing, for example, a lot of like these panting wrinkles around his little cheek area, and those can be pretty heavy stress signals. So it doesn't mean your puppy is going to keel over, but it would be something that I would look out for. You want to, again, make experiences for him attainable and within his comfort range. So as we're boosting our handsome man's, again, confidence, he's not running into moments where as he's developing and maybe he's going through potential fear periods down the road, we don't want to turn it into a phobia or into something that could be traumatic and that he clings to for the rest of his adulthood. Okay, I'll be right there, Hippo. So sorry, my little one is here helping out today, but she was having a little yogurt snack and she needs some assistance. So I would say take your sweet time with the car, and then I will, okay, 1 second, Abba. And then, so take your time with the car and make sure that when you're working on it, it seems like it's attainable for both him and for you. And then that way, the rate of travel for down the road will go much easier and hopefully much smoother with less tummy upset. But I'll also send you some info about some of those calming supplements or supplements that can help with anxiety, so that we can make sure he's also feeling a little bit more cozy as he is maybe trying to work these skills. He's doing a great job. So we'll give him a little tidbit, toss a little jackpot in there for the handsome man. We'll give him a break from the car travel tips.